Yeah, recommendation letters are a whole other game. I mean, they can pretty much do whatever they want with those.
So it's okay for a teacher to discriminate against a student, regardless of their GPA, just because they believe in creation.
I don't think that I would do that, but I'm just saying the professor it's their choice.
I mean, I'm asking you.
I mean, he could easily have never said that out loud and still done it, and it would have been okay. It's because nobody can criticize him for who he recommends.
So I asked you the question: is it okay that he does that? Do you think that's fair and just?
To go to medical school, he said.
Yeah, they go on from his biology class into medical school. And he says, if you don't believe in evolution, I'm not going to get you into medical school.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that question. I'll think about it.
University of Texas, Lubbock.
Yeah.
Check it out. I think it's something similar to that still on his website.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay, go ahead. Barney Maddox.
So this statement that he supposedly made about a 3-nucleotide change being fatal to an organism.
Yes.
That's incredibly stupid. That is demonstrably false, and I can't believe that you would quote that.
Okay. Would you agree that...
Ken, it's incredibly dumb. It's demonstrably wrong.
Okay. Would you agree that when what happens when a person gets one extra chromosome? What's that disease called?
Let's not... No. Don't distract me from the point.
This is the point.
Think about all the alleles that we have for eye color and hair color. These are mutations. Even under your worldview of Noah and his kids populating the Earth, they are allelic mutations of more than 3 nucleotides. So that whole thing that he said is wrong.
How many nucleotides can change? And is it possible that one nucleotide changes and is fatal? Is that possible?
Yeah, I talked to somebody about that earlier, and they said probably not because there's too much redundancy in the code. I don't know the answer to that, but the point is that you can definitely have more than 3 change, and it not be fatal, it not even be negative at all.
Well, there may be some nucleotides, just the change of one is fatal.
Well, maybe so, but there's still millions of other places on the genome where you can change it, and it doesn't do a single thing. Because there's junk DNA, for instance.
Not junk. Just
non-coding DNA, Jonathan.
They're not coding for protein, but that doesn't mean it's junk.
Not junk DNA. A lot of it serves as decoys to draw away toxins and things.
Well, whatever you call it. I mean, are you going to... Okay, just respond to what I'm saying.
All I did was read the quote that I gave the reference. I have to look up the original source for that. But I think you're off track here. You're straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel.
I love how you quote that out of context. You know who he was talking to when he said that?
Talking to the Pharisees.
That's right. I'm not a Pharisee, so quit using it against me, please.
Well, it applies.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, I think it does. But
we're arguing about science here, Ken, and you're putting out bad science by saying that 3 nucleotide changes are fatal to organisms.
You may be correct. I just simply quoted what he said. Now, you may be correct that he's not right, but I just gave his quote. I don't know enough about it to know.
I don't even know why you would quote it, because you say all the time that mutations happen.
Sure. Can you name any beneficial mutations that have added information to the gene code?
Yes, I can, but that's not relevant to what I'm saying. I want you to admit that this is wrong.
I don't know that it's wrong. I told you I'd check it out. If you're right, then I'll change it. But have you
not said on the air and on your seminar tapes that mutations happen and that microevolution is accepted by creationists?
Mutations happen, but read the rest of my quote. They are negative. They're harmful, fatal, or neutral.
Whether or not they're harmful has nothing to do with whether or not they're fatal.
It has everything to do with the idea that mutations are going to cause an increase in genetic complexity and turn a rock to a human. It has everything to do with it.
How about the alleles for people's eye color and hair color?
I think they're great. My wife has green eyes. I have blue eyes.
And you realize it is mathematically provable that even under your conception of the origins of the human race, there must have been tons of mutations to change those since Noah's Ark.
Is that a mutation to change eye color?
Yes, because they are alleles.
Well, I don't know that that's true or not true. I can either confirm or deny your
statement.
There
were 8 people on the Ark, right?
Correct.
How many different kinds of hair color and eye color do we have?
Probably 3 basic hair colors, and a lot of combinations between those, blonde, brunette, and redhead. Eye color, I guess we have brown, blue, and green, and a few variations between those.
Which is just expressed by the amount of melanin being pumped out in your pigment cells.
Yeah, and how does that happen?
Well, I agree. It's by the allelic frequencies.
Exactly, and that happens by mutation.
So what was the original gene code of the rocks, plural, pink one and blue one, that we evolved from?
But that's irrelevant, Kent. You're trying to get me off track, and I'm trying to pin you down on this and show you that you're wrong.
I'm trying to help you see how dumb your position is, Jared. We love you. We want to help you. But to believe we all came from rocks is silly.
Kent, what if I told you that I believe in God and that I don't believe that we all came from abiogenesis, and I still disagree with your entire theory?
Well, do you believe
what would you say?
Do you believe we came from an ape-like ancestor? Let's give you at least up that far to primates.
I think it's the best theory we have. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to believe that, but there's no scientific evidence for it.
No, I already gave you at least one or two pieces of evidence for that specific claim.
You think there are some one or two pieces of evidence that would hold up to scrutiny for the claim that we have ape-like ancestors in our past?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's another long discussion we could get into. Okay.
Sure. Okay, so I want you to look into this thing about the nucleotide changes.
Sure, yeah, I will.
It's extremely important, and you use this all the time, and I think that it's totally wrong.
Okay. Chromosome number 14 in the human genome was mapped by a French and Italian and English and American team, and they found 87 million, I believe is the number, nucleotides in that one chromosome. That's just one chromosome. We have 46 of them, okay? This incredible DNA code that we have, can you name any instances where we can have, we may have mutations that cause this code to corrupt. That happens in computers all the time, where a certain function no longer works.
Right.
You know, spell check doesn't work anymore. They're corrupted, okay? Especially in the early days of computers, it was much more common, okay? Now, the Windows, just about every week I have to click on, click here for updates to patch something. Okay.
Microsoft is a terrible company. That's
thousands and thousands of patches have to be made because there's goofs in the code, okay?
Yep.
And this is a bunch of intelligent people, I'm assuming, that are writing this code. And yet you think the human gene code, which is a billion times more complex than Microsoft, any code, or all codes together, happened by chance. I don't understand how you can believe that.
When you say that it happens by chance, that's not entirely correct. Do you know what a Markov chain is?
No, sir.
Okay, a Markov process is a process where you have an input. In this case, it would be like a genome, like with a bunch of nucleotides, and there's a random. There are probabilities assigned to changes that change the state. So, a certain nucleotide could change the amino acids. There's probabilities attached to it, and it only depends on the input, not what happened before it, right? So every time that someone gives birth, or conceives, that you're feeding this random process. But it's not just a random process. There are other factors that are controlling this. It's kind of like saying that the weather is all based on chance. Well, that's not entirely true. The weather is somewhat random, but it also adheres to laws.
Before it hits the filter, is it random?
What do you mean before it hits the filter? Before natural selection?
Natural selection is not random. It's going to act on the environmental influences. But before that, is it random? Before the raw material, before natural selection, how is that gathered?
Well, the only random part that biologists are claiming is the mutations.
Exactly. So it's all based on randomness.
It's not. It's heavily involved with randomness. That's part of what feeds.
It all starts. Where does it all start with? If we want changes to occur, what's the first thing we need?
I'm not understanding your question.
If we need a change in the genome to occur, what is the first thing we need?
You mean, are you looking at this from a naturalistic perspective on the history, or?
Well, you need a mutation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is the mutation random?
That's the current theory, yeah.
Okay, so it's all initiated by randomness.
The changes that happen
once it gets to that filter
are random.
Once it gets to that filter, like you're just discussing in programming, once we get to an if statement in PHP or C or Java or anything like that, then it's no longer random because we have things computing this process right here, computing this information. But before that, the raw information is not, well, in computer programming it is, but naturally, whenever you have multifactorial traits and environmental effects, it's random until you get to that filtering process.
Yeah,
so it is based on randomness. It is based on randomness then.
It's based on randomness in the sense that that's where the data partly comes from. But the whole process as a whole is not a random process. It's not like a Brownian motion scenario where it's just like walking around randomly.
I always picture a brownie actually in motion when I hear that.
Brownian motion? That's
like this little brown thing with
dispersion in gases or fluids. I suppose technically solids too, but that'd be a real slow process. Okay, now, so your point is, I guess my point is, yes, we have mutations. Yes, things go wrong in the gene code. Code gets corrupted. But I would say there are no examples where the changing random processes in the code improves it. Well, call in tomorrow, Jared. We'll be back. Thanks, folks, for joining us. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.